Tarzan is a man of few words, but he isn't a man of no words. And so for Disney's animated version, they needed to find the right mix of man and animal to portray the Jungle Man. Did they succeed? Let's find out. Before we start, don't forget to check out our Discord, our coffee page, and like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, all the things. It really helps us out. Anthony Howard Goldwyn was born in Los Angeles in 1960. His grandfathers were Oscar-winning producer and studio chief Samuel Goldwyn, who created Paramount Pictures and Goldwyn Pictures, later Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and playwright Sidney Howard, who wrote the screenplay for Gone with the Wind. Goldwyn Sr.'s spouse was Broadway actress Frances Howard, and their son, Tony Goldwyn's father, was independent producer and studio chief Samuel Goldwyn Jr. Unlike his father and brother, Paramount Motion Pictures president John Goldwyn, Tony followed in his grandmother's footsteps by pursuing the performing side of the business. After studying at Hamilton College and Brandeis University, he furthered his education at the London Academy of Music and Art. He would soon find work on the national stage, beginning in 1985 with the off-Broadway play Digby. More substantive roles came with a 1985-86 turn in the Los Angeles production of Tom Stoppard's The Real Thing. Meanwhile, Goldwyn was making inroads to on-screen work. His first feature film appearance was in 1986's In the Very Scary, So Cover Your Eyes, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Guest shots on episodic TV soon followed, most notably in a 1987 episode of Designing Women, as a young man suffering from HIV who asks the show's quartet of interior designers to help him plan his own funeral. Yeah, I know, it's heavy on the heart. The episode generated considerable publicity for its subject matter, as well as 2 Emmy nominations.
I didn't even know you were gay.
Well, I am, but you don't have to be. You should have seen the hospital ward I was just in. On one side, I had a 65-year-old grandfather who got it from a blood transfusion. And on the other, an 18-year-old girl who got it from her boyfriend who got it from a girl he used to date.
Oh, Kendall, I feel so terrible. We didn't even know you were in the hospital.
Was your family here?
No, my parents are pretty upset.
I can imagine.
Actually, they're more upset about the gay part. They didn't know.
He also guest starred on Matlock with your grandparents' favorite star, Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith, who was wonderful, right?
Legend.
A legend. But Matlock basically, like, these shows, every episode was exactly the same.
Right.
He did the same thing. So there's some crime or something, but then he'd be on, so he couldn't remember the names because he basically played the same scene every day in the courtroom. So they had cue cards all around the room. And so he would be like, Mr. Smith, I blah, 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 because he could never, because it was just basically interchangeable, these, kind of courtroom shows.
Goldwyn's breakthrough role came in 1990 with the supernatural romance Ghost. Cast as well-groomed yuppie and very, very punchable Carl Brunner, whose duplicitous scheming leads to the death of hero Sam Wheat, Patrick Swayze.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it, goddammit?
I gave it away.
You're lying to me. Don't lie to me, goddammit.
It's kind of a good story how I got this part.
Tell me.
My wife, who is a great production designer, was the designer on Ghost. And she got this movie, and she kept coming home and saying, they haven't cast that part yet. There's this great role of the villain. And in those days, if you worked in television, you were almost forbidden. You could not break into movies. Yeah. I was like, they're never gonna hire me. And she was on my ass about it. So I kept calling my agent, and I couldn't get an audition. They were like, yeah, right. So, but I just kept pestering them, and the assistant in the agent's office was like, I'm gonna get you in on that.
Really?
And so he gets me an appointment, and I go on tape for this thing. I went and I left and thought, I felt like I did a pretty good job with that. 2 or 3 months later, I get this call from my agent, who actually I rarely spoke to because he didn't return my calls very often in those days. Said, remember that movie Ghost? They have not been able to cast the part, and they ended up stumbling on your tape, and they want to fly you to Los Angeles for a screen test. And I ended up getting the job.
Goldwyn was soon cemented in the public's mind as a well-groomed, upwardly mobile type with a frequent streak of Brunner's cold-bloodedness. In the Pelican Brief, he balances an outward charm with a deep-rooted ruthlessness as a villainous White House chief of staff.
There is a way to handle this.
Handle it how?
We appoint 2 nature lovers to the court. Good little environmentalists who would kill Matisse in his oil field, etc. Then you call Voiles into your office, and in the presence of the Attorney General, you demand an immediate investigation into Matisse. I'll leak copies of the brief to every reporter in town, and then we hunker down and ride out the storm.
But there has to be some way to keep this information from coming out.
I'm working on it.
What? How?
Mr. President, you don't want to know.
While his Dr. William Rudolph in the thriller Kiss the Girls, 1997, hides a brutal rapist behind his handsome exterior. Jeez, this guy is so good at playing bad. Meanwhile, Disney Studios were riding their mid-90s magic carpet ride high, looking for their next project. They had just finished Pocahontas, and so Tarzan seemed to be the obvious next step. Seeing as there had never been an animated adaptation of Tarzan, who better to take it on than the studio who specialized in animating fairy tales? And yes, Tarzan is a fairy tale in our eyes. Argue in the comments. Searching for their lead voice proved to be a lot less difficult than imagined. According to co-director Kevin Lima, Goldwyn landed the role because of the animal sense in his readings and some killer baboon imitations. So kids, keep practicing those animal noises. Practice them at the dinner table. Practice them in class. Practice them while you're in detention for disrupting class. It may just land you a lead role.
Well, it was a very kind of standard thing, you know. They asked if I was interested in doing it, and I immediately said yes. I've always wanted to do a Disney animated film. And I was sort of surprised at how kind of challenging it was. We read 2 scenes, 2 very dramatic scenes, one with Kerchak, the father gorilla, the head of the group, and one with Kala, the gorilla mother who raises Tarzan. And you know, Kevin Lima, the director, I remember him giving me a real workout. And I left going, geez, a cartoon, that was like, you know, Shakespeare or something. There you are alone with a microphone with no other actors, with no props, nothing. And you sort of are doing this whole thing with your voice. And
Do they have any pictures in front of you?
Not initially, no. The first, what they have is I spent some time with Glenn Keane, the animator, and he showed me sketches of what the idea of Tarzan was going to be. But we do the voices first, and then Glenn animated to the voice. And they had a video camera taping me, so he would animate to that. And then as we, you know, it took a few years. I would go back every 3 to 4 months and do another session, record a new scene, redo an old scene, you know, and as it would evolve, they would show me what they had. So at first I saw sketches, and then I saw animated pencil drawings, and then, you know, they would be colored as we went on. And then also I would listen to, I never worked with the other actors, but I would hear Minnie Driver or Glenn Close or Nigel Hawthorne's, some of the scenes, I'd hear what they were doing, and I'd get a sense of that. But it's a very strange process for someone who's used to acting in the normal way.
Where are the gorillas? Gorillas! Gorillas!
Shouting won't help, Mr. Clayton. He doesn't understand English.
I'll make him understand. If I can teach a parrot to sing God Save the Queen, I can certainly teach this savage a thing or two. Gorilla.
Gorilla.
Oh, he's got it.
Gorilla.
Gorilla. Perhaps not.
No, give me that. No, leave it. No.
Mr. Clayton, I think I'll take it from here.
Something we agreed on right up front. You know, I said, I hope you guys don't want to do the sort of stereotypical jungle ape man. And they said, no. I said, because this is good stuff. The writing was very good. And I said, this is real. It's great. And so a big part of our work was avoiding that monosyllabic thing. And it was difficult because Tarzan a lot of times doesn't say a lot. So we had to try and pack in a lot of substance and feeling into sometimes very few words. So that was the challenge, was to stay away from that cliche.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes, thank you. It's a lovely heartbeat. It's very nice.
It's very nice.
Oh, thank you. I can't do a thing with it in this humidity, though. It's... You do speak. And all this time I thought you were just a big, wild, quiet, silent person thing. Why didn't you tell me? I mean, I must say I'm rather curious as to who you are. I mean, I'd love to.
Tarzan. Tarzan.
Tarzan. Oh, I see.
Oh, I see.
The romance is such an important part of it. I think it's something that people would really feel deprived of if they didn't have it. And I think in terms of touching Tarzan's heart, when he confronts not only a human being, but a human being who he falls in love with, it just makes it so much stronger. You know, I think the love story is such an important element to it.
In 1999, Goldwyn made the successful transition to director with A Walk on the Moon, a coming-of-age drama comedy romance about a suburban wife and her daughter who experience sexual and romantic awakenings at the dawn of Woodstock. Trippy.
I was 17, just 3 years older than you are right now, honey. Do you know how many boyfriends I had before I met your father? None. Do you know how many times I slept with your father before I got pregnant with you? Once. That's all it takes, Allison. I was an accident. Honey, don't think that. Listen to me. That doesn't mean we don't love you. We love you so much.
We didn't have the money to do anything super fancy. But I thought, if you were at Woodstock, you didn't have the experience of having a big, overview,
Right.
So I thought, it would be a very subjective experience. So if we are just surrounded by people and we spend the money to get a couple of special effects shots to convince the audience that we're actually there, we can economically do this. So we literally had 250 extras. That's it.
That's it?
And we had, I think, 3 shots in there. The one you saw with the opening shot,
right,
which were CGI, where which in other words was computer generated. Otherwise, this is all just surrounded, and we recycled extras with a handheld camera.
How did you know you were ready to step behind the camera at that point in your career?
I was not.
Okay.
I thought, I need more control over my career. So I thought I'd branch out and start producing and developing my own material so that I didn't even think I wanted to direct, but I found this script that I fell in love with and worked with the writer for a few years to get it into shape, and ultimately felt like I couldn't give it to somebody else. I was afraid someone would screw it up. And I found myself directing a feature film with no idea what I was doing.
While not a box office success, the film received positive feedback from critics and led to a string of directorial assignments for television, including The L Word and Grey's Anatomy. So if you're knee-deep in season, 16 of Grey's Anatomy, you can thank Tony for part of that. Meanwhile, in 2003, he appeared in The Last Samurai playing Colonel Bagley, the ruthless cavalry officer who dispatches Tom Cruise's dissolute officer to Japan.
You want me to kill Japos? I'll kill Japos.
I'm not asking you to kill anybody.
You want me to kill the enemies of Japos? I'll kill the enemies of Japos. Rebs or Sioux or Cheyenne. For $500 a month, I'll kill whoever you want. But keep one thing in mind. I'd happily kill you for free.
Yes, The Last Samurai.
Right.
Well, that was my death. Okay, there we go. Tom Cruise throws a samurai sword through my chest. Ed came up to me one day and he said, we're kind of ahead and there's this one little sequence I thought maybe we could do. It's no big deal. We may not get to it, but would you be up for doing something on horseback? It won't be anything complicated. And Ed goes, okay. So and they had 500 Japanese extras who were the infantry soldiers that you sort of saw in those. And Ed goes, yeah, he's like, so here's what I want you to do. He said, we're gonna start up by where the cannons that you saw, you're gonna start up there, and then you're gonna go down and you're gonna mount your horse, and you're gonna call out these commands, and you guys are gonna charge. And I was like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
It was incredibly complex. So I had a fake beard and a mustache,
right.
like a goatee and a mustache. And these black clouds are rolling in on us. And
It's
I'm like, okay, we
ominous.
gotta get this.
Yes.
Everyone's panicking. All of a sudden I feel something on my face and I feel my mustache is peeling off. And I yell down to one of the Japanese infantry guys, excuse me. And they didn't speak any English. And he's like, oh yes, and he starts bowing to me. So we hear action, do the whole thing perfectly. Cut, it starts to pour rain. And Ed's like, yes, that was fantastic. That's a wrap, we got it, it's great. And I'm like, there might be a problem.
In 2007, he returned to feature directing with The Last Kiss and television directing with several high-profile projects including multiple episodes of Dexter and Damages. Speaking of Dexter, Goldwyn also played Dr. Emmett Meridian, the calculating psychotherapist. You know, so he can really get into your head. Goldwyn appeared in several episodes of Law & Order: Criminal Intent as Frank Gorin, whose drug and gambling addictions are a source of turmoil for his brother, Detective Robert Gorin. And rounding out the decade, in 2010, he directed one of the most ambitious films, Conviction, starring Hilary Swank, while simultaneously tackling his first Broadway performance in the 2010 revival of Promises, Promises. Outside of Tarzan, however, Tony's most prolific role came in 2012, when he was cast as the swoon-worthy opposite to Kerry Washington in the political drama series Scandal.
I am a grown man. I am going to leave here. If I have to walk out to the staff parking lot with you two following me, jump into someone's 1994 Civic and drive off without protection, I am going to leave. I would like to be safe and not jeopardize the economy of this country when I did so. Can you come up with a way to make that happen?
2 sedans, covered parking, 1 sharpshooter, and your ambulance.
1 sedan and covered parking, no sharpshooters and no ambulance.
1 sedan, covered parking, no sharpshooters. We keep the ambulance and add 2 agents.
Sold.
Just like 43.
Casting is everything. And putting Kerry and I together, we just click. We actually didn't know each other that well. I was a huge admirer of her work. I don't know what it is. We kind of work in a similar way together. We don't have to talk about stuff much. We just kind of click in. And the one thing I can say about Kerry is that she so commits to everything that she does that I, as an actor with her, feel very, very safe because I know I can totally go for it and never feel that she's holding back anything. And I think she probably feels the same way about me, so we're very open with each other. And that creates chemistry, sexual and also intellectual and all of it. We don't talk much. I mean, Kerry and I talk a lot socially, personally, but about scenes, Jeff and I talk about everything. We also have great chemistry, but Jeff and I talk about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And analyze things. Kerry and I almost never do. We kind of say a word or two and go, yep. Like we don't want to jinx it or mess with it. It's
you know what, you're imitating. I mean, each is actually an indicator of the actual relationship you have with the character. Because
That's true.
Cyrus, everything. To a large degree, there's a fair amount of intellectualized debate and back and forth, and it's all instinct with you and Olivia.
That's true.
So it's kind of nice that your style. It worked out that well because it might be sort of awkward if it was the other way around.
That's right.
Love scenes are all about talking.
Can we talk about this for a second?
Cyrus is like,
just give me a minute.
Let's just
give me a
feel
second. I know it's cold in here, but
we need to have another conversation.
I've actually directed my own steamy stuff, which is really weird.
You've directed yourself in a love scene?
Yeah, actually, I think it was the first episode I'd ever directed. I had this big love scene with Kerry Washington. Mm-hmm. It was sort of this really important reunion between the two characters. Mm-hmm. And it was really awkward to talk Kerry through how we were going to have sex. I mean, just imagine, imagine that in real life. Like, okay, here's how it's going to go. You okay with that? You comfortable with this? Because here's what I'm going to do. And then sometimes you have to say, I'm sorry, we have to do that again.
Well,
and it's even worse when she says no.
Not everybody can do it again, Tony.
Well, that's true, Steve.
Especially at your age, Tony. It's very impressive.
Yeah, well.
Scandal lasted 7 seasons, ending in 2018 with 124 episodes. In 2014, Tony appeared as Andrew Pryor in both Divergent and its sequel, Insurgent. Returning to the stage, Tony also performed in the 2018 play Network. And he wasn't mad as hell about that. It's a good joke. Go watch the movie the play is based off of before judging me.
I was in LA doing Scandal, and I got asked to do a reading at the LA County Museum of Art of the screenplay of Network, just coincidentally.
Yeah.
And Aaron Sorkin, the great playwright, who was in the play on Broadway right now, To Kill a Mockingbird. Aaron read Brian's part, and I read the part I'm doing. And I thought, this is made for the stage. Why has this never been done in the theater? And I found out it was being done at the National Theater in Britain by Ivo van Hove with Brian. And I thought, oh, God, if this ever comes to New York, let me know. And then a couple of months ago, I got an email from Brian going, hey, you want to come do this show with us? So.
As well as Henry Wilcox in The Inheritance.
The Inheritance, which is a two-part play about the AIDS, or sort of the legacy of the AIDS epidemic on Broadway. And it's an extraordinary, it's one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of, I have to say, yeah.
Why are you so passionate about it?
It's hard to describe. It is such a beautiful piece of writing. It's deeply moving. And it really is about 3 generations of gay men in New York City, focusing on a younger group of millennial men who really did not live through the AIDS epidemic, and 2 middle-aged men, me being one of them, who did and were traumatized by it. And I play a gay Republican billionaire. He's just a very rich character. You know, I love playing people who are have a lot of contradictions, and Henry Wilcox, is his name, is a very powerful man of great charm and intellect, and yet at the same time is crippled emotionally. What I wanted to do was immerse myself in film and literature about the epidemic, because I lived through it, but I'm a straight man. I cannot possibly know what it was like to be a part of that community at that time. And so I'm representing that. And so I wanted to, that's really what I tried to dial into, because I feel a big responsibility to, you know, the members of our audience who did live through it. Yeah.
Most recently, he appeared as Gordon Gray in Oppenheimer. So if you chose to see Barbie first, you missed out on our main man, Tony. Just saying. And we'll leave it on that high note. Obviously, there will be much more for this great actor, as he seems to only be getting bigger and bigger roles. He has amazing talent for drama, as well as recognizing a great script. So who knows what other roles Tony will swing into? We'll just have to wait to see what he goes ape for next. Okay, maybe those weren't my best puns. See you next time. Thank you to these people for supporting us on Patreon and Ko-fi. And if you want to make sure this channel sticks around, you can check out our Ko-fi link in the description. Every bit helps. Thank you for watching this episode of Discographies. Click the thumbs up button below if you liked it. And if you want to be notified when the next episode comes out, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Comment below with characters you would like to see us cover. Further reading and references are linked below. We hope to see you in another Discography.